A person who is HIV positive can infect the other person even though this part is being cut, because semen can still be produced, and HIV virus is found in semen. So the sperm cells only, so it will only affect fertilization. Fertilization will not take place. There will be no fertilization. So this is a method of contraceptive, but it does not protect an individual from contracting an HIV virus or HIV virus. So this is the first point that we need to understand. We talked about, firstly, the penis, the structure that contains the tissue, the spongy tissue, which when the spongy tissue of the penis, let us look at the penis, it has the spongy tissue. This spongy tissue is filled with blood. Now when the man is aroused, the spongy tissue is filled with blood so that the penis must be erected. And only the erected penis can introduce the sperm cells, into the female genital or into the female reproductive system. That is the penis. Then we go to the testis. We say it is suspended or it is hang outside the body. It is hang outside the body. To ensure that to create a suitable temperature, suitable body temperature. It creates a suitable temperature which is below that one of the body temperature. In order to do what? It is below body temperature in order to ensure optimum sperm production. That is to ensure optimum sperm production. So this is what you need to understand, that it creates a suitable temperature which is 3 degrees below body temperature, minus 3 degrees below that one of the body temperature, in order to ensure optimal sperm production. This is the type of question that you must expect when this structure is given to you. Now we go to the other parts of the male reproductive system. Let's go to this part called the seminal vesicula. This produces a whitish alkaline fluid. The difference, this one, it produces a yellowish, also alkaline fluid. Now, what are the functions of this kind of fluid that we are having here? Now, this one here, the seminal, this fluid and this one contains, the fluid contains fructose. Now, this fructose, it is for what? For feeding developing sperm cells. The sperm cells that are produced are given food by this seminal vesicular gland. Now, let us make it a very clear aspect here so that you must be able to understand. We've got the seminal vesicle gland, which secrete a whitish alkaline fluid. Now, this one, it contains fructose to nourish or feed the sperm cells during transfer, the sperm cells during transfer to the female. It also provides energy for sperm mobility. It provides energy for sperm mobility by virtue of having an alkaline. It is alkaline by virtue of having an alkaline substance or it being an alkaline medium. It is responsible for it neutralize the vaginal and acid from the urethra, which is formed when a male person have gone through urination process. Now, it neutralizes the acid in the urethra and in the vagina in order to protect the sperm cell. The same applies to the yellowish fluid, alkaline fluid, which is produced by the prostate gland. Now, the prostate gland here is a gland that produces the yellow alkaline fluid, Now remember that the fluid from the seminal and the prostate gland is called semen. And that semen is whitish in color. It contains fructose, so in order to nourish the sperm cells. So also here, this one is for sperm mobility. It shows sperm mobility, and it also nourishes the sperm cell. You can see that the sperm cell have an adequate nutrition. Nourish the sperm cell. It has adequate nutrition during transfer. Remember, the sperm cells is nourished during development inside the testes. I want to show you the diagram here that shows the structure of here, this diagram here. Now, looking at this diagram, we find that this is the structure, the section through the sperm tube. Now, in this structure, we've got these sperm cells that are still being developed. Now, in here, there are some cells here called cells of Sertoli. The cells here, this cell here, which is called the cell of Sertoli. Now, the cells of Sertoli, they provide the sperm cells with fructose or glucose or glycogen during development. You can see that in the testes here. The sperm cell is being fed, is being nourished during development, and also when it is transferred, it is also being nourished. How is a sperm cell nourished during development? Inside the testes, the seminal tubule, seminiferous tubules of the testes, these tubules here, inside the seminal tubule of the testes, there are cells called cells of Sertoli that are responsible for nourishing or feeding the developing sperm cells. I want you as learners to understand this concept here clearly. During sperm formation, when sperm is formed, spermatogenesis, there are cells of Sertoli in the seminiferous tubule. In the seminiferous tubule, there are cells of Sertoli. Now, these cells, they provide the sperm cells with fructose. In other words, they nourish the sperm cells during development. Now, during transfer, there is prostate and seminal vesicle gland. Now, this one, they secrete they secrete substance that contain also fructose. That substance that contains fructose also is for nourishment. It nourish or feed the developing the sperm cells, not developing one. The developing one is here in the cells of Sertoli. This one is for sperm cells during transfer. When it is transferred from the epididymis, when the sperm cell move from this structure here, from the epididymis, when the sperm cell move through the vas deferens towards the penis. So it is being nourished by the fluid from the prostate gland and the seminal vesicular gland. And that is what you need to know about the male reproductive system. I will wait for question before I go to the female reproductive system. Here is the male reproductive system. I'm waiting for questions from learners who are listening with regard to this information. You must know that, firstly, look for a question paper that have this structure. Label all the parts. Don't go through the question first. Label all the parts. And next to the part, write the function of that part. When you write the function of that part, then you'll be able to indicate that. You'll be able to know when the question, after that you go to the question paper, then you answer the questions based on that structure. Then I guarantee you that you won't be having a problem in that regard. So I'm waiting for questions before I proceed with the female reproductive system. In an absence of the questions, we go to the second part, which is called the